atom bomb destroys or injures in three ways: by blast, heat, and radioactivity. These, then, are the weapons of the atom bomb that we must protect against.
According to Jeff Schlegelmilch, Deputy Director at the National Center for Disaster Preparedness,
if you see a nuclear flash, the first thing to do is get behind a barrier in case the shockwave comes.
Bear in mind, the shockwave is travelling at hundreds of kilometres an hour, so you won't have long to find cover. When Yamaguchi took shelter in a nearby ditch, however, the shockwave lifted him up off the ground, spun him around like a tornado, and threw him into a nearby field. Radiation safety specialist Brooke Budmeyer recommends sheltering behind something that is structurally sound.
When I think of where I would go for protection from prompt effects, and from the blast wave in particular, I think of the same kinds of things that we do for tornadoes. Be in an area where if there's a dramatic jolt, things aren't going to fall on you.
If you do manage to survive the shockwave, things sadly don't get much easier. It's now a real race against time. Essentially, when the bomb goes off, the explosion creates an immense amount of dust and debris, which combine with the radioactive products that result from the nuclear reaction at the heart of the bomb. This radioactive dirt is drawn upward into the sky by the intense heat. This is where you'll usually see the distinctive mushroom cloud. However, as those radioactive particles cool, they make their way back to the ground, and that fallout means trouble for you.
You will have some time to take action to keep you and your family safe. The biggest thing, get inside, and stay tuned.
The likelihood is that you'll have somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes to find shelter. To make matters worse, you might also be blind. Turns out explosions that are basically miniature suns are a bit overwhelming for your eyesight. Fortunately, this lack of vision should only last about a minute. Unfortunately, if the attack happens at night and you're out in the dark, the blindness might last up to 35 minutes. For the sake of argument, we'll say our hypothetical situation takes place during the day, since not being blind makes it a lot easier to find shelter. I'm also going to assume that you haven't been preparing for the end of the world and built your own state-of-the-art fallout shelter.
Shouldn't you be in your shelterinis by now?
We haven't got shelterinis.
It's a pretty safe assumption. Even at the height of the Cold War, when nuclear obliteration haunted everyone's lives,
it shall be the policy of this nation to regard any nuclear missile launched from Cuba as an attack by the Soviet Union on the United States.
Less than 2% of Americans ever actually bothered to build a bomb shelter or create a safe space in their basement. Although that assumption doesn't apply to Switzerland, which has built around 250,000 shelters, enough to accommodate its entire population. But for the rest of us, there's a good chance you don't have a spare bunker lying around. So where should you go? First off, don't stay in your car. The metal doors and glass windows are going to be way too thin to protect you from gamma radiation. Mobile homes won't offer adequate shelter either. Instead, try to find a basement or a larger multi-story building. Remembering the key factor is putting as many thick layers between you and the fallout. We're talking concrete or brick here. So nice looking glass skyscrapers or homes built out of wood and plaster aren't your best bets. If you're in a city with a subway system, heading deep inside would also offer a decent level of protection. Assuming you've made it inside somewhere above ground, avoid the top floors. All the fallout is going to settle on the roof, and the whole point of going inside is to stay as far away as possible from those pesky dust particles that are emitting dangerous levels of gamma radiation, which could lead to radiation poisoning. Instead, get to the center of the building. If there's time to close off areas where fallout might enter, doors, fireplaces, air conditioners, windows, then do it. Okay, let's look at a slightly different scenario, one where things didn't go quite so smoothly. This time we've abandoned our car and sprinted to the nearest sturdy-looking building, but fallout might be starting to land around you. If you think it is, the best thing to do is cover your nose and mouth with a rag and close your eyes. Stumbling around like this won't be easy. So in this example, it's taken 15 minutes to actually get inside. Did any of that fallout land on you? Is it in your hair or on your clothes? It might be, which means you're at risk of getting acute radiation poisoning. I don't want to sound like too much of a pessimist, but a bad sign at this stage is if you've already started vomiting. Since your gut is highly sensitive to radiation, puking is a sign you've absorbed a pretty heavy dose of the bad stuff, and the prognosis is probably death. If you haven't started hurling everywhere, there's plenty of things you can do to get rid of any fallout that might be on you. Carefully remove your outer layer of clothing. This can remove 90% of radioactive material. put it in a plastic bag and leave it somewhere far out of the way. Take your time. Wiping your kit off too quickly might shake free any radioactive dust, and that's not going to help anyone. A shower would also be quite handy. By all means, treat yourself to some soap and shampoo to help wash yourself off, but avoid using conditioner. It'll bind radioactive particles to your hair. I'm afraid your vibrant and glossy hairstyle is one of the many casualties of a nuclear disaster. Even if there's no shower, wash your face, hands and any body parts that were uncovered using a sink, damp cloth or wet wipe. Again, the key is using plenty of water and taking your time. The last thing you want to do is scratch yourself and allow radioactive material to get into your skin. By now, it's likely an hour has passed, which means that the radioactive fallout outside will have already decayed by 50%. Within the first 24 hours, it will have given up 80% of its energy, going up to 99% after 2 weeks. But remember, if the radiation was high enough to begin with, that 1% could still be dangerous. So staying indoors for as long as significantly possible reduces your chances of contamination. According to the US State Department,
the importance of sheltering in place, preferably inside a sealed room, for at least the first 48 hours after a nuclear detonation cannot be overemphasized.
If you can, wait for government agencies to send help and listen out for their instructions before vacating your safe spot. If you are worried about Kim Jong-un going nuclear, a homemade terrorist bomb, or Alexa becoming self-aware and starting World War III, then you might be interested in preparing a basic emergency supply kit. Chances are, though, you're not going to be carrying this with you when disaster strikes. So, just remember this: get inside, stay inside, and stay tuned. And you might just make it. Thank you for watching. Check out the video that's on screen now, and if you haven't subscribed, then please click on the button below. We have a Patreon page, and if you'd like to support us, click on the button and check out our rewards. We want to make more videos, and it's your support that helps make this possible.